Navigating hybrid work in 2024, everybody. This is a big topic. How do we do it? It's interesting. We work with organizations, all sizes, small, big, and we have some organizations we work with that everybody is in person. We have others that the entire team is virtual around the world. And then we have other organizations that are hybrid. And so interesting, isn't it? How work has changed over the years. My name is Dr. Karen, if we haven't met before, and I've been working with organizations coming up on 20 years, but I've been doing this work for actually for almost 30. And what we do is we focus on leadership, emotional intelligence, and really helping to develop great leaders both at work and at home. And so this particular video is really going to be focused on organizations, and will be applicable for entrepreneurs, managers, professionals, and just really kind of focus on that. Some of our other videos are focused more on organizations and for families. This particular one is going to be focusing most on businesses. So how do we do it? I'm going to give you 6 things to think about. All right, 6 things to think about on how do we navigate hybrid work in 2024. Okay, so one of the things I just wanted to just kind of high level really quick. It's really interesting when we talk about hybrid work because when you have somebody who's actually not in your office, what I find is what we have found doing leadership training for global organizations is that it's like all of your best management practices have to be lined up. It's like you really have to dial in best practice because you don't have the person in your office. For a lot of people who've got virtual employees. And so you really want to hone those skills in. So again, these are going to be, I think, just really good tips for everybody who is a professional or business owner. So here we go. Number one is realizing the communication. We've all heard this, okay? This is going to seem probably redundant, but I'm just going to emphasize it anyway. Communication is critical. It's critical. So hybrids, you've got some people in the office, you've got some people working at home. Some people are going to hear the communication because your office is beside each other, and another person, they're not in the office. And so you've really got to be clear on your communication. And the best way to do that, is to really figure out and dial in your communication rhythms. We're really big into rhythms, things that have got a rich, that have got a sequence to it. There's a structure to it so that people actually know what to expect. So figure out with your teams, with your organization, what are your communication rhythms? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? For a lot of organizations, the larger ones, they will often do kind of company-wide communication, whether or not that's once a week, once a month. But for certainly teams, most teams are talking, if not once a week, if not daily. Okay, so every organization is a little bit different, but you want to kind of establish what are our communication rhythms so we can really be clear in terms of what's actually happening. So that's number one. Number two is during that communication rhythm, you want to be really clear on your expectations and specifically the goals. What are the goals that people need to be working on? Without clarity of the goals, sometimes people can spend and waste a lot of time on things that are not important. And so establishing your communication rhythm is number one. Number two is really getting clear on expectations of what their role is, but also the goals that they need to be working on. So you want to really hone that. And that's going to be both for in-person people in the office as well as outside the office. The third one, which may seem a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's important because this came up in a recent conversation with a business owner, is sometimes organizations where people have the option. It's like, well, you can choose to kind of work in the office or you can choose to work at home. We really prefer the in-person, but sometimes there's some options. And I just want to kind of just quickly highlight there are benefits to both, right? So the benefits actually of being in the office is that there's a lot of times there might be a greater chance to be obviously seeing people, forging relationships, forging deeper connections, having a greater sense of belonging. There might be more mentoring opportunities. You might actually just have a chance to actually be talking more casually with other colleagues. And so really kind of forging deeper connections and relationships with your peers in the office is a really, really big thing. And there might be in part of that there might be actually more career opportunities actually if you're in the office. on the other side, a lot of people like that hybrid because it gives them way more flexibility. Maybe they don't have to be commuting. Maybe it allows them to be picking their children up from daycare at a certain time. So it might really provide more of a lifestyle option. And so it's just really important, again, as a manager, professional, business owner, that we kind of acknowledge there are positives kind of to both, and to talk about it openly. I think that's just kind of important. Okay, that little bit of a side one, but I think it is actually important to mention. Number 4, and just before we dive into the fourth one, this is all part of leadership emotional intelligence. So if you have not yet received our scorecard on what is a great leader is somebody who is emotionally intelligent. You want to make sure you get that. So just type in below great. Type below great, and somebody from our team will actually send our scorecard to you, and that is our leadership EQ scorecard on one of the 5 core skills that every great leader actually needs to have. And so this is going to be really good, a good tool for you to use both with all of your employees, all of your team members, both who are in the office and actually working outside as well. Okay, number 4, everybody. You want to make sure you have performance measurements, metrics. People need numbers. People need numbers. So without a number attached to every goal, it's abstract. And the problem with abstract goals is you don't really know if you're actually achieving it or not. And certainly when we're part of a team, again, navigating the hybrid work, whether or not we are a team member, maybe you're listening, you're like, well, I'm not a manager, Karen. Like I'm a team member. Then I would be asking my manager, is it possible for me to get some clear goals, some clear metrics on the goals, because I really want to do a great job here, and I want to make sure that I'm going on the right path based on with what your expectations are. So even if you're not a manager and you're a team member, I would be asking my manager for that. And if you are a manager or professional, make sure that you are sharing the metrics that you want your teams to be going after. People need numbers. Very important. Number 5, everybody. Number 5 is feedback. So as we're establishing our communication rhythms, we're establishing kind of clear roles, expectations, and our goals. We're kind of being open and transparent about the benefits, whether or not people do have an option, whether or not they are in person or at home. We're kind of getting them to kind of dial in terms of the performance measurements. Feedback is number 5. And feedback is really important. It's really important, everybody, because feedback allows us to know, what am I doing well, what actually needs work. In my book, The 3 Chairs, if you have not received it, on page 39, here's an interesting stat. 72% of employees said that they thought their performance would improve if they received corrective feedback from their managers. 72%. So when we are navigating the hybrid work. We've got people in the office, we've got people at home. Make sure once they know kind of that metrics, you're kind of giving feedback to them, and that feedback will allow them keep doing this. Moving forward, just do this part a little bit different. We need to make feedback part of our culture. Feedback is a superpower. It allows us to accelerate our growth. So that is number 5. Make feedback kind of part of your culture. And the 6th one, really quick, final one, everybody. This is really important, actually. The 6th one is really have an open conversation about the clarity around boundaries between if you're working in the office or you're actually working at home. So for example, sometimes what happens, we certainly saw this during COVID, people are working from home, so people will email them at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Now, just because a person emails that time doesn't necessarily mean that they expect the person to respond, but maybe they do. I don't know. But what you want to do is establish that even though the person might be working from home, still establish working hours or working expectations. And same thing if you're actually in the office. What are the working expectations, working boundaries? Every company is different. Every culture is different. I just wanted to highlight that for you. It's very important to establish clean boundaries. If you really want to make sure that your environment is focused on wellness, I encourage you, and I hope you do, you want to make sure you really set some healthy boundaries so that people can focus on their work, but then they can kind of close down and give them a chance to actually refuel in the evening. There's lots of other videos that we talk about wellness and well-being, but just wanted to quickly highlight this. So really, that's number 6, have clarity on the boundaries around work and home. And that goes for both people who are working in the office as well as working from home. So those are the 6 tips, everybody, how to navigate hybrid work for 2024. Do you have a suggestion for one of our videos? Definitely let us know. Put it in the comments below. Make sure you check out our other YouTube videos. And I look forward to seeing you at one of our other videos.